What's up, everyone? Coffee break here with another video. 49ers, Green Bay Packers. Two teams that are right now a little depleted with injuries, some key players out on both sides, and we'll see. We'll see. I have high hopes for the Niners still. I really think this is a good opportunity for them to not only get a gauge of who they are as a team, but also get a jump start of 3-0. I mean, when will you ever face a Green Bay Packers team like this? Depleted with injuries, offensively with that offensive line, defensively with that defensive line, and then Aaron Rodgers, how much is he bought in with this team this year? I'm not saying he's not trying his hardest, but there's definitely something going on there. And on the Niners side, man, I mean, talk about the running backs. We're hoping Elijah Mitchell can obviously start on Sunday, but JaMychal Hasty is out. We're having guys who we're signing this week. We're relying on those guys, right, to be as backups. Another hope is Trey Sermon. Is he able to clear the concussion protocol? So there's a lot of ifs going on here at running back. Now, I guess the good news is Trey Sermon, for what has been reported, Trey Sermon was limited. Javon Kinlaw was limited. Emmanuel Mosley was limited. So they are practicing to some capacity, but not full participants. So that's something to monitor today, Thursday, and tomorrow, Friday. Um, so we're hoping that Trey Sermon, at least running backs. I mean, Elijah Mitchell's our only healthy running back to start the year. In the roster, of course, we've added some folks from other people's practice squad, but it's definitely a weird time. You would think you would like go through these types of moves, roster moves like mid-season. You don't anticipate it happening this early, but hey, every year is different. But from the Niners standpoint, it seems like it's happening every week. But this is a game that I think the Niners win. Now, the question is, do they win big or do they win a close one? I'm leaning more so like it's going to be a close game, but the matchups are all favoring the 49ers outside of quarterback, outside of wide receiver. And you can argue running back, but we're going to talk about this a little bit. This is where this is what I've gathered. The first game the Packers had against the Saints, I thought number one, the Packers just weren't ready. They weren't ready. The Saints defense looked really aggressive. Looks like they were making all the plays, just offensively, defensively, and Green Bay wasn't getting anything. On the flip side, against Detroit, that was completely Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones. I mean, to me, Green Bay's offense is Aaron Jones or bust. That's kind of what I have here in my notes. It's Aaron Jones or bust. He had 4 touchdowns, 3 receiving touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. But it's hard to get the ball out to your receivers, especially if they're guys who are not like yards after catch guys like Debo, because of this depleted bad offensive line, and Aaron Rodgers has to get the ball out quickly. They don't get many opportunities downfield, but against the Lions, I thought just Aaron Rodgers towards the second half was great in just being the more seasoned veteran out there. The Lions were a young team. They have a young defensive coordinator. What's his name again? I had it here. I had it. Terrible with names, but I had it. Aaron Glenn. There you go. Defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn, who the Niners faced, of course. Aaron Rodgers really took advantage of that inexperience from the players, from the coaches, and you saw that they were getting penalized. And after that, the game was kind of over at that point. Um, so it's not that, Green Bay did anything special that what they were doing. Aaron Rodgers really just hit them with hard counts and um, really gave them quick snaps at the line of scrimmage. Didn't let them to get set or see like the um, the personnel on the field. So I thought that was how they got separation from the Lions. And then, the 2 turnovers from the Lions too doesn't help. That speaks to the inexperience. But nothing really blew me away from that game where I'm like, wow, the Niners are really gonna have a hard time here. Which is why I sound confident in saying the Niners are gonna win if everything the Niners do is on point. Now, let's talk about Aaron Rodgers' offensive line for a second because the Niners are known to having a really good, great at times defensive line. And when you look at the matchups, the tackle spots, I mean, how are Green Bay gonna be able to slow down a guy like Nick Bosa, a guy like D Ford? I mean, Arden Key, I thought had a couple pressures in last week's game. And then Eric Armstead. Eric Armstead is known to just applying pressure, moving guys. And these guys don't know how to anchor it down. So I still think the 49ers, this could be like a 3+ sack game for them. And it really has to come down to that because you can't allow Aaron Rodgers to have time in that pocket and able to get it to his receivers like Devontae Adams, uh, and what was the other receiver names? Amari Rodgers. They have really good receivers, but it's just you can't allow him to get time to throw it deep because that's what he wants to do. And so when you have that, and then you also have a good defensive line that defends the rush. And so slowing down Aaron, um, Aaron Rodgers from that standpoint too, where he doesn't have a running game, I think is gonna pay huge dividend. So I can see this game going one or two ways. I can see the 49ers just being dominant up front where it doesn't allow Green Bay to get going. And this, I wouldn't say it'll be like the NFC Championship game, but from what we've been seeing the past 2 weeks where it's been close, I can see maybe the Niners winning by a touchdown. However, um, that is still like we're still talking Aaron Rodgers. And so, I'm sure he's gonna have a chip on his shoulder, coming into this game. I mean, we're really talking the Niners going 2-1 or Green Bay going 1-2. And how often have you seen, Aaron Rodgers go 1-2, right? But the roster, the matchups all favor the Niners. And I think that when you look at the Packers defensive line, they're depleted too. Um, and the only good, I think, defensive lineman they have healthy is Preston Smith, who I think is still very good. And if you're the Niners who are, depleted with running backs, you want to run away from Preston Smith. But, they have Rashawn Gary, who was, a first round pick back in 2019, I believe. Um, he does not look good at all. I mean, he looks slow still. When he rushes the passer, he doesn't have like a move. Like it's just him trying to bull rush all the time or trying to be quick around the edge. I mean, he doesn't have any moves. So I think McGlinchey and Trent Williams can do their part and protect Jimmy. This is going to be a game where Jimmy's going to have time in the pocket. He should have time. Offensive line does their job. He should have time in the pocket to get the ball out deep as opposed to Aaron Rodgers, what he'll be facing on the other end. But Jimmy Garoppolo, this is what I mean about Gate. Like we'll have a temperature check on this team of how good they can be. Because when you're facing a team like Green Bay, sure they got other playmakers in the secondary, but this is going to determine what Brandon Ayuk has been doing in practice, right? Like, what's he up to? Jimmy Garoppolo, of course. We already know what Debo can do. I think if he wants to be consistent, it's going to be a monster game from him. And then George Kittle, of course, who, I mean, who's going to guard him? You're going to have your best corner on him, maybe the rookie, Eric Stokes. But who? Who? There's matchups there to be won by the Niners. And so you can't guard them all. Um, Kyle Juszczyk can be the X factor. I think he needed to step up from last week. Maybe he does. Maybe he does. But I think the Niners, matchup wise, are in favor here. Again, outside of quarterback, running back, and then their wide receivers. But in order to get it to them, you need protection. Or in order to have a good run game, you need a good run block. And the Packers do not have that. Their foundation right now is not good. So the Niners can come in, shake that foundation, and everything else will fall. And that's kind of the way I look at this game. The Packers are going to be facing Fred Warner in the middle. That's not the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions do not have a Fred Warner. They don't have a Nick Bosa. So I think that I don't even think it's an upset if the Niners win big. Now, if the Niners lose, I think that looks terrible on this team. And my level of concern goes up because all the matchups that I'm pointing out here where you can win, lose a game, it all favors the Niners. So if they come out flat, that's the only way I see them losing. They come out flat, they have a lot of penalties, they're dropping balls, they have turnovers, self-conflicting penalties, self-conflicting mistakes. That's the only way I see Green Bay winning. Even with Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers on the other team. Like, now if they had a healthy defensive line, if they had their starting left tackle, Bakhtiari, maybe. But even then, I still think the Niners are way too deep at a defensive front. I still think the Niners have a much improved offensive line, especially with the center, Alex Mack. Brunskill and McGlinchey, of all people, have really stepped up um, and have ways to go. But from last year, I mean, it's really I've really seen the improvement there. And so this is you're coming off an Eagles win. Their defensive front is really good. It's tough to run, right? We couldn't run it against them. So we had to pass it. We had that nice pass to Debo, Jimmy going on his second read to Jawan Jennings for the touchdown. We're gonna need those in this game because if I'm Green Bay, if I'm Green Bay, I'm probably looking at this team like, okay, Elijah Mitchell, you're gonna have to beat us, right? Or Jimmy Garoppolo, you're gonna have to beat us with your arm. And those are the guys that really need to step up if they're healthy, right? Elijah Mitchell being the running back, but I think Jimmy could do it. He's done it before against his team. We have the playmakers on the outside. I mean, Debo could come in, play running back. It's gonna be a long day for the Packers, I think. I really do. And if the Niners win big, now everyone is paying attention to this team. How good can they be? I understand we got injuries, but man, we really have Diamador Lenore can really turn this defense into a dominant one. If he can just be consistent, I really think that he could be a nice cornerstone piece that what has been missing. Now he has to be consistent. He has to improve his play, and this will be a big test for him. I think the biggest test yet, facing these wide receivers that the Packers can throw at you. And I'm all for it. I'm ready to see what this team really is, who this team really is, and if they can dominate a Packers team, although they're depleted, but they dominate them, then everyone is checking to see, okay, this Niners team's for real. Because a lot of people are like, well, you barely beat the Lions, you barely beat the Eagles. And I understand that too, because there's a lot of like, okay, needs to step up early. Ayuk, and and then when you consider running backs being out, it's a lot. And then Josh Norman, I think, played very well, but there's still question marks about him. There's a lot of question marks, and when you look at the NFC West with LA looking solid for 2 weeks in a row, Arizona as well. I know Seattle lost, but they still are very good. There's a lot of question marks with the Niners, and, if they can go out there on Sunday night and just dominate, that'll change perception for sure. Um, I think that's pretty much it, man. I think that's pretty much it. The matchups, like I said, favor the Niners. George Kittle, like to see how he, you know, run blocks in this game against Rashawn Gary. Wasn't really a big fan of Rashawn Gary coming out of college. Um, was a little surprised the Packers selected him that high, but um, I just love George Kittle blocking. I think we'll see a big game from Fred Warner. I think we'll need a big game from Aziz Al-Shaair. Um, again, offensive line won't be able to protect Aaron Rodgers for they can only do it for so long. So if we just stop the run, Aaron Jones, then this will make their offense one dimensional and defensive line will be able to, pin their ears back and just rush Aaron Rodgers. So that's kind of the goal here. Um, but yeah, if we slow down Aaron Jones, who seemed like he carried this offense on his back on Monday night, um, then the Niners defense are in a good spot. Eric Armstead, I expect huge amount of pressure from him and DJ Jones. DJ Jones is having a hell of a year too. Then you mix in Nick Bosa, D Ford. It's gonna be it should be a fun one, folks. And I can't wait to watch it. Let me know in the comment section below. What do you think? Predict any scores? What are your thoughts on this game? And what is your favorable matchup? And we'll talk to you on the next one. Hopefully after Niners win. Anyways, see you on the next one, folks. Peace.